Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm actually coming back at you for part 2 of Supernatural Season 10, so I'm gonna continue where I left off in the last video, so let's get started. Episode 7, Girls, Girls, Girls. This is where it shows Dean on this dating website or whatever, which is weird. And she's trying to hook up with some chick or whatever, but instead she's working with a demon that it's kind of like slave, like a demon's joint bar something they're doing. Like these demons are doing this selling thing with strippers or hookers or whatever or something like that. Like selling women to these guys for their souls mostly. So yeah, kind of like that, but and then Crowley comes into this as well, and this lady named Rowena, who's a witch, who saves these girls who are with this Raoul guy, and Raoul gets killed by Rowena with some spell, and then Sam and Dean try to go after her, Rowena the witch, and in the process of doing that, mostly they stumble upon Cole, who's in the way of Dean getting Rowena mostly. So pretty much, Sam and Dean are trying to go after Rowena, not the girls, and one of the girls gets killed in the process by this spell that she was under that made her turn into a fierce lion that was going after Sam. And then Cole comes up to Dean mostly and stops him right when Dean's almost so close to killing Rowena. And then Cole lets Rowena get away. And Cole's wanting to beat up on Dean mostly. And they kind of do have I believe they have a fight, I think. Can't remember mostly, but yeah. He said, yeah, I think they do have a fight. It's been a little bit since I've seen the episode, but I kind of remember most of it. There's not really much to tell. And Dean does tell Cole what really happened, that his father was a monster. And he had no choice but to put him down. And he's like, Cole's like, how can I believe you? He's like, you can't, but it's the truth. But Sam reminds him, he's like, you got a wife and a kid, Cole. Go back to them. And he does. As much as he wanted to kill Dean and to get justice for his father's murder, which his father was the murderer, who was the monster. And Cole didn't know that, so he didn't want to believe it, but it was true. So Cole does let Dean go, and he goes back to his family. And you see at the end of the episode that Crowley kidnaps Rowena, or captures Rowena, and that's Crowley's mother. And he realizes it when he says mother at the end of the episode. So this episode, as much as it got stale in the beginning, somewhat, I think it picked up further on in the episode and did a little better. So 4.5 out of 5. Episode 8, Hibbing 911. This is about a vampire who's in this police retreat or whatever, that he's setting up this retreat for police officers. And Jody Mills is there as well, along with Donna, who's the officer that Sam and Dean did a case with in the Purge episode in the last season. With the parasites, or fish tacos they call them. And yeah, this episode was not bad. It wasn't my favorite, really. They just go after one of these guys who's disguised as a cop that's with this gang of vampires, or is trying to avoid being in their group or something. But the chick that's in there that goes up to Jody Mills and says, spare some change, is the leader of the vampire group, I think. And yeah, the officer, I think, dies in the process or whatever. And then they do Sam and Dean and Donna as well, and Jody, who were captured by them, do kill them off. So, I guess a happy ending. Donna's kind of freaked out because she didn't want to believe in monsters, and Jody told her that what Sam and Dean really do. So yeah, case closed mostly. This episode's getting a 4 out of 5. It's okay. I wasn't that crazy about it too much, but it's not bad. Episode 9, The Things We Left Behind. This is where in the beginning you see Claire or whatever, who's in that Castiel or Jimmy's daughter or whatever, whose father ran off because he was possessed by Castiel, and Jimmy actually sacrificed himself while saving the world, mostly for when Lucifer snapped his finger and exploded Castiel in season 5 at the end of that episode, that season. And you see Claire in an institution mostly. So yeah, and like pissed and everything. So yeah, Cass is going to look for her or whatever because she ran away, because he wants to make amends for what he did to her and the family, mostly because he feels like he tore that family apart. And Claire does run into Castiel and says, "Oh, you know she took off just to look for you, right?" So yeah, and she's trying to be his friend, but no, she doesn't really want to be friends with him. She's like, "Thanks for getting me out, but I'm not interested in your story or anything." She just wanted to steal his wallet with money just to get away from him. And she's living with this guy or whatever that she steals money for just to pay off a price or whatever to the mob or something. And yeah, Dean and Sam get involved as well and talk to this kid that tells them everything, that's working with the Jerry guy, I think his name is, or something. And the kid spills his beans on what Claire's doing, that she's gonna rob a convenience store or a gas station or something. I think convenience store. But then Cass catches her in the act and stops her. And then after a while, she goes back to Jerry's or whatever and tells him that she didn't do it, and the mob people show up, beating up on Jerry, I think, or holding him down mostly. And then I wouldn't say they kill him. They just take Claire to the back room, one of the guys, and he's about to, you know what, which is disgusting. And then Sam and Dean and Castiel come in and interfere, and they save Claire. Claire gets out of there with Sam and Castiel, but Dean stays behind and getting beat up on them. And he's like, "You don't want to do this." And the guy's like, "I do." And he kills everyone in that room, including Jerry, who took Claire in. And Claire's just really upset about that. And before he did that, it showed Sam reacting, and he's like, "No." He runs out of the car quickly because he knows Dean's just went over the edge a little and killed everyone in that house, including Jerry. And Claire is just really upset and is wanting revenge, pretty much just to kill Dean Winchester. So episode 9 is getting a 4.5 out of 5. Episode 10, The Hunter Games. This is where they kidnap, they get Metatron or whatever out of heaven, just so Sam could confront him, and Dean as well, just so they can find out how to get the Mark of Cain off him, because they want Dean to go back to normal. And in this episode, you see Claire at a bar mostly as well, talking to these people. And she's telling them what happened with this person killing someone that I was close to, and or someone that's messing with me. And the people are like, oh, if we've dealt with people like that before, we can deal with him if you want to. You just give him a call mostly. And yeah, Metatron's just screwing with him mostly. And he says to Dean or whatever after he's beating him up that you'll find the river at the source or something. And mostly it's just, he said the first thing you gotta do is pick up the blade mostly. And then something like that or whatever. But Metatron was lying mostly. He was just playing with them just so he could get out of that situation. Because he does explain it in one of the episodes I'm going to explain later on in the season. At the end, Castiel's about to take him back to heaven. And then Metatron yells to Dean saying, "You're going to get worse." And he's like, "You're going to get worse, Dean. So much worse." And at the end of the episode, Dean gets a call, and then he goes to see Claire because she says she wants to meet him or whatever. And that's where those two people were about to beat him up, and Dean beats them up. And then Claire's stopping him for a second and says no, and then she runs away mostly. And Dean's just like not really happy mostly. And Castiel runs into Claire saying Dean's not himself mostly. And yeah. And Claire's like, I'll give you a call or whatever. So she's kind of wanting him back in his life or something. Episode 10's getting a 4.5 out of 5. Episode 11, There's No Place Like Home. This is where Charlie or whatever comes back from Oz, but she's split into two halves. Her dark half and the good half of her. And that was created by the guy from Oz or whatever who did that and split her in two. And the dark half's going after people getting revenge on that she's getting revenge on for her mom and dad's accident or whatever that were involved in that accident, and she kills off almost everyone for that, and then goes to Dean and beats her up. She's taking on Dean, which yeah, it's not gonna work out. And they do eventually kill the guy from Oz or whatever that put that spell on her. So yeah, now Charlie's back to normal, and Charlie's saying, "I'm gonna help you, Dean. I want to get that mark off you mostly." And yeah, that's gonna end the episode. There's not much to tell. It's just that's what happened. So this episode's getting a 4.5 out of 5. Episode 12, About a Boy. This one was weird, where these guys or whatever were one guy, JD or something, was JP or whatever, was just a alcoholic drunk who was getting kicked out of bars mostly just for screwing people over. And then this guy or whatever turns him into, this guy Hansel uses this pouch on his chest or whatever and turns him into a teenager again. And the same with this other girl and Dean as well, who get involved in that same situation when they're trying to find out what happened to JP. And this other girl Dean met at a bar and was about to hook up with her, but they were about to go back to her place, and then that's what happened. So yeah, Sam eventually finds out what happened to Dean, and then after Dean escapes, he's saying that he took a bus all the way over here, and I heard a Taylor Swift song, and I liked it, Sam. I liked it a lot. So, yeah. And the one behind all this who's got Hansel under a spell is a witch or whatever that's doing this to people. And sadly, JP, I think, gets killed. But the chick doesn't. And they don't return her back to normal, but Dean goes back to normal. And at first he wanted to stay like that because he didn't have the mark of Cain on him. And he's like, no, I just want to go back to normal. So he got the mark back again. They killed the witch. Hansel, I think, did live. Or something. I can't remember, but the other chick that Dean was with or whatever stayed as a girl. And she's like, I want to start over again. So this episode's getting a 4.5 out of 5. That's going to be the end of this review. I did it as long as possible, but comment below, let me know your thoughts on this. I'll be back on part 3 for the rest of it, and I'll see you in the next video.